Blastcore is the most hilarious game I've ever played. And I know everybody's probably all like, isn't that Deadpool the official game before the movie? Or Jazzpunk, or like Undertale replayed with some kind of new academic perspective or whatever? No! Blastcore, featuring the oh-so-beautiful Rareware badge for the Nintendo 64, is the mostest hilarious. Now notice that I didn't say it's funny, because that would imply that it's clever, or it's got some super tight writing, or that it has Simon Pegg in it. No, this game is just hilarious, straight up and down, from its concept to its execution. Let me explain. Have you ever found yourself plagued by too many games to play, too many others you want to play, and so many others people tell you you're supposed to want to play, and so you do, but you really just wish you could spend your time playing a game about blowing up buildings with a bulldozer or drop-kicking them in a giant robot? Well, wake your dang self up and ask yourself, could it possibly be real? Brush your teeth real quick, because your breath probably smells like a tire fire, and sit yourself down for a lesson in clear-cutting entire cityscapes for the benefit of an unyielding semi-truck that is carrying giant restaurant ketchup bottles, or whatever. Yes, that is a real game, and yes, that is a real premise. It's up to you to use whatever you can find in your arsenal to find the best way to tear those skyscrapers right to the ground. Now just imagine that everything I just said was sanctioned by an organization or an agency of some kind. Its entire purpose being to oversee the destruction necessary to get a runaway nuclear missile transport, which is apparently what this thing really is, to a place that is different from the place that it started in. Yes, missile transport trucks lose control often enough to warrant the founding of such an agency. Oh gosh, kind of brings a tear to the eye, doesn't it? What makes this game so magical is that there really isn't a way to start you off other than to just throw you right in. What kind of tutorial could you possibly need? This button means go, this button means stop. You want to drift? Well then start experimenting, you'll get it sooner or later. This is the kind of game that lets you drive a giant one-armed robot called a Thunderfist, that's right, it's called a Thunderfist, and it blows up buildings by rolling towards them and finishing them off with an uppercut. I mean, its very existence pretty much explains exactly how to use it. You roll towards something and then you uppercut it. I wouldn't have it any other way, would you? I'll answer for you. No, you wouldn't. You can see what I mean by hilarious now, right? It's exactly the kind of game I'd love to be in the room for the pitch meeting of. Blow up buildings by uppercutting them with a giant robot. It's the perfect slug line right there. The rest of the game writes itself, or rather designs itself, I suppose. It would be a stretch for me to say that there's any kind of story in this game, which is probably a good move, because who's going to be paying attention to a story when they're making stuff like this happen at a constant and repeated rate? Of course, there would be various versions of this premise spread across the game: speed tests, time trials, how fast can you destroy this chunk of the city. Everything about this game screams of informality, which is what makes it work on so many more levels than a lot of the other games you'll find in this generation. There's no plot-driven suspense to make you feel guilty about not progressing the plot. You can return to any level and just explore freely, looking for secrets and such. Heck, if you change your mind about which vehicle you took into a mission in the beginning, you can just say screw it and hoof it on over to something that you find in the battlefield. This game does so much to maintain a sense of forward momentum. Even the way you have to protect the runaway truck is a great way to keep a point of moving focus in the player's mind. Even if we have to stop moving because something indestructible is in our way, rebuilding our movement after we recover becomes part of the momentum of gameplay. And on top of this, each of the vehicles approach senseless destruction in a very calculated way, which kind of makes it make sense. Sure, the Ram Dozer just lets you romp whatever's in your path head on, but the other vehicles make you think stuff through, like the Skyfall, which is most effective when launched onto buildings from high up, or the Ballista, a motorcycle equipped with a rocket launcher, which sounds awesome in of itself, or the J-Bomb, which is a great name for a robot that requires delicate flying before zeroing in on a target and making this happen, or the Dump Truck, which is apparently called the Backlash, which, well, like, with this thing, you have to drift into buildings to get its maximum effectiveness, but, like, it's hard as balls, and like, I'm not sure it was optimally designed. It's a headache and a half, and I'm not really sure if it's because of the controls or something else. I don't know. If you're gonna play this game, just don't, I don't know, I don't recommend the Dump Truck. Just don't. It's better for everybody if you don't. Some of the challenge of this game definitely comes from the shortcomings of its design. It adds a bit of stress to an already pretty tensifying game, but eventually the levels are actually designed around those shortcomings, requiring precise placement and control mastery, two things that this game doesn't really provide as a strong suit. Not to mention needing to assess and interpret what you have to do based on some pretty vague capabilities, like this crane thing. I'm not sure if this is genius or punishing, but I was at it for a while. Like, and this is an actual screen that comes up in the game at one point. Yeah, when this happened, I could feel the heart palpitations taking over. I should probably see a doctor. Blastcore is probably the best pick up and play game I've played since The Binding of Isaac. There isn't much of a deeper experience here, and it doesn't really inspire completionism in me, but even after I had the footage I figured I needed for this video, I still found myself playing a mission here and a mission there as I worked on this video. I haven't really been this taken with an N64 game since the days of, well, the N64. This is a game I had thoroughly overlooked until really just a few weeks ago. I had never had any exposure to this game and didn't even decide to add it to the video roster until pretty much the end of January. This game is basically a hidden gem, and I think could act as a prime bit of inspiration for cathartic yet challenging game design moving forward. And for those of you who are telling me to go grab a Rare Replay, don't have an Xbox. Yeah, kind of ending on a down note here. Alright. So anyways, you guys have a good... Hey everybody, thanks for watching my Blastcore video. Consider throwing me a like if you enjoyed the video, and if you want to see more, go right ahead and subscribe. I've always got something in the works. Or at least I will as soon as I finish playing me some more Blastcore. I'm gonna drive me a Thunderfest.